Slurply dirt my G's. Hope you guys are all doing great. Firstly, thank you all so much for your comments lately. It's been absolutely epic, and apologies I've not been able to get back to everyone individually in the comments section at the moment. But today I wanted to do a little continuation of yesterday's video where I started making some kind of jungle with a phase plant. I made a lovely little pad, and yeah, I thought this could be a nice and easy quick video today on just some inspiration for some like filler sounds, for some like extra content that you can put into your track when you're not sure what to do next. And so, because I quite liked the vibe of this this beat, it was just a pad with a worm break, right? Yeah, I really liked it, and I just wanted to test myself with phase plant and see what else I could make to go along with the loop, So I actually ended up creating two sounds, some dub kind of, or dubby-esque kind of stabs with a lot of flavour to them, and some white noisy shaker loop, both made in phase plant. And then I bounced both of those guys out, and I've chopped them a bit, and I've resampled them a bit. I've put a bit of processing on. So here's the final loop that we're going to end up with today. So first, let's make these stabs together, and it's going to happen again. I'm sorry. Alright, it's getting better, don't worry. So, phase plant is what I used, obviously. And yeah, let's dive into these stabs. So they sound quite different on their own to how they do in the final mix down. So they sound like this on their own. And again, I made a chord out of them. So they're actually, I believe they're a minor 7th chord. Something along those lines anyway. But yeah, let's break down the processing on these, because it's quite an easy sound to make, to be honest. So you shouldn't struggle to do this yourself, even if you're fairly new with phase plant. So yeah, the stabs are made up from some white noise and 3 oscillators, right? Alright, so the volumes are quite important on these. I've done them all at a different level, but the overall volume of the whole stabs is down here in the envelope section, and I've actually turned the gain down and tracked that to an LFO, just so I could create a unique shape for the actual sound. So it's a little bit of a ramp up, and then nice and quick kind of stab motion, just quickly down, So the first one is a triangle wave here at 0, and then the next oscillator is a square wave, and this is up at +7. Okay, a little bit lower in volume than the triangle, and then I've got a saw wave as well. So we're really using a best of all 3, and this is even lower down, and this is up at +10. All right, so just 3 different shapes to fill out the first part to the sound, right? Next, what I've done is I've already applied a low pass filter to the whole lot. Alright, and I actually automate this filter now on a separate LFO here, and this it always repeats every time. So it's just the low pass opening up, a little bit of resonance, like fairly straightforward, right? Just creating that like stabbing motion, but the stabs, as you see, they're not like super snappy at the start. I've made them on purpose a bit a bit soft on the start, because I wanted them to be quite soft stabs, So this quite soft at the start. So that's basically it for the oscillator section, and then in the noise I basically just add a bit of white noise as well. It's very subtle. It's only going up under 5% on the volume automating LFO here. Right, so yeah, nice to get that little noise injection on top. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to use the global unison and make it nice and wide already. So just standard kind of settings for the global unison, just blending in about 37% here. Alright, so yeah, it's not like a super complex sound, it's just a functional filler kind of sound, right? But now the idea is to really sort of dub dub these stabs out a bit and add a bunch of delay and reverb essentially. So I've got a dual delay at 3/16 mixed up just under 30%. Yeah, really nice natural kind of delay tails on that. Then some reverb at also quite high actually, 37%, so really kind of spacing them out. I just like that flavour, you know, with that sort of overdone reverb for this kind of sound. Then I'm actually distorting the whole lot. So warms up the sound, and you'll notice in the MIDI I'm playing just the same note because I found that it was a better combination when the pad was being responsible for the melody and the chords were, the progression, and the chords were just more of a rhythmical thing with a nice tone on them. So I kept them playing the same chord over and over, you know, while the pad changes. But it harmonises quite well, I think. All right, but we're not done yet anyway. So yeah, back to phase plant. Oh, also another thing is compositionally why it kind of works for me is because there's also a contrast between the two sounds, which is the fact that the dub stabs are, yeah, by nature they're stabs, so they're like quite short and intermittent sound, you know, whereas the pad is very airy and sustained and held down. So the fact that they have two kind of different characteristics like that makes them work better together. You know, it would be harder to layer like another pad on top of that pad. That's why, you know, I tend to only ever stick with like one pad and then have other elements that do different jobs as the different layers, you know. But anyway, let's continue. So a little bit more processing, just taking out a little bit of low end. Let me solo these guys again. A little bit of a high end boost. Then I use the comb filter in stereo mode. So I just put a bit of modulation as well on the frequency amount. And it just puts them into a little bit of a new space and gives them some stereo interest, and I really love to use that comb filter, as you guys know. Then I did a little bit of a notch filter, but it's a very subtle one. It's basically like a little EQ dip with a bit of movement on around the mid-range, just to give the stabs a bit more definition and like kind of shape them a little bit. Little high-end boost. And finishing off with a pitch shifter actually at 1 octave down. I felt like it just added this nice like old school kind of feeling, having like the kind of almost degraded sound quality pitched down version of the stabs blended in a little bit, around 20% or so. And it added a nice flavour in the low end, definitely. So yeah, that's how I made the pads, the stabs, sorry, in phase plant. But they didn't quite. Yeah, they didn't quite do it for me yet. One, I like the groove, but I felt like I was overdoing it, so I wanted to chop things up, and also I wanted to give them another layer of processing. So I bounced them out. I should say, actually, I first put on my tape emulation, and then I bounced them out. Right, so over here, I've got a lovely tape preset from the OCS 45, which works wonders for me. This really warms the sound up a bit and gives it a slight lo-fi edge. And I just mix it in up here how much of the effect I want. Yeah, it was great in the middle for this one. So once I bounced those guys out, I basically ended up with this long file, and I just chopped out some of the stabs essentially. Along with the beat, I thought I could find a nice spot. So they almost act as like a little kind of response part now, you know. We're kind of missing the cool, actually, so that's something I might have to get in next time. But I didn't want them on the whole time because I felt like they got a little bit tiring when I left them on for so long. But so I just put them in the position where I thought they could work. A touch of processing to finish, so just taking out a bit more low end. And then a bit of side chaining actually as well to the kick. You can only hear that when the kick is on, obviously. But there's a problem where I've chopped them now, is they feel a bit unnatural because you know, you kind of go from lots of audio content to nothing. So how I remedied that is I basically put a nice dual delay with just around 10% on the mix. And it's just enough to fill out that kind of background loneliness. So yeah, that's pretty much them finished. Touch more EQing, just a bit of low end shaping, taking a bit of that out, and then I felt like then they were mixed down into the track well, you know. Adjusting the volumes as well, obviously, to make sure it fits. But yeah, it's important to do those little mix down processing as well to get it to fit, because I'm making the sound from scratch, like in Phase Plant, so it's not going to naturally fit with everything straight away. So that's why I'll do a lot of refining through the extra plugins, and the tape, especially the tape, helps to blend things in so it feels a bit more natural, you know. But that's the stabs, and then we'll quickly just move on to the shakers, right? So here's the shaker loop that I created. Very simple. It's got a real lo-fi flavour to it as well, because I've really used the tape heavy on this one, right? Because they're very, very bright before the tape gets added. But I made them in Phase Plant first, and we'll do that quickly. And I made them quite bright to begin with. And yeah, very, very simple. It's just white noise with a nice, sorry, sort of ramp down, nice shape here on the level. Goes up to about 33%. And it's got a little bit of an attack, so it's a little bit smoother at the start. And it's at 1/16. Okay, and yeah, processing wise, we can skip over. It's all very, very subtle here, to be fair. There's a little bit of movement throughout the shaker as well to keep things natural, and I've used the randomizer for that. So I've put the randomizer on, yeah, the filter cutoff position for, like, I've high passed the white noise first. I don't want all that low end for the shaker. I just only want the high part, really. You know, around, what are we, around 3K or so. Yeah, kind of open it up a bit and give it a bit more body with the randomizer, so it kind of spins back to the left a little bit every so often. Yeah, then the ensemble. I use that just in a small amount, very, very wide, lots of voices, but it gets really, really phasey if I use it too much, but I just use that to add a bit of stereo width instead of the unison. No particular reason why, it just was my process at the time. Touch of distortion. Yeah, again, it's not too, well, it doesn't change the tonality of the sound so much, it's more of a volume boost kind of thing, but adds a bit of stereo width as well through the spread. And I automate the drive like a little bit, so you've got a little bit of a dynamic movement going on. Next, little mid-range boost here. Yeah, it just felt like it needed a touch more body. I was just kind of being a bit fiddly at that point. A little bit of flanging as well, and automating the rate. Yeah, so it gives it this slight pitch drift almost in the sound, so it keeps it a bit more natural, and every hit is slightly different. Touch of reverb as well. I've gone for the white decay 200 milliseconds, which is really, really nice. Yeah, obviously not all the way up, otherwise you lose all the actual shaker, you know. But 25%, you get that room sound on it. Great stuff. And then yeah, shaping the attack a little bit as well. Well, actually the attack and the sustain on a transient shaper, and automating the sustain so it actually gets a bit looser and a bit tighter throughout the progression, just randomly, so it feels a bit more natural as well. Touch of a high-end boost at the end. I feel like it needed a bit of presence still. But yeah, the randomizer helps a lot to keep the shaker realistic, so every shake is slightly different, you know? But yeah, really, really like that. But as I said before, like it's not always the case that the first thing you make in phase plant is going to straight away fit in your mix down, right? So obviously, if as when I add it back in now, like it absolutely works, but I just wasn't quite happy with the flavour yet. So I ended up changing it to have this real lo-fi feeling. And let me put that on now, actually, it's important. Right, so there you hear the lo-fi kind of effect, and this is where I've chosen just another preset from the tape plugin, the OCS 45, my favourite tape emulation. And some of the presets on there have like a lot more, they have a lot more like super lo-fi, so or it can be quite subtle or very lo-fi, and this one was quite lo-fi indeed, taking out a lot of the high end, and so it really, if you kind of hear that I've used quite a lot of the mix as well. Let's solo it a moment. So it really feels like a lo-fi rainy tape version of the shaker, taking out quite a lot of the brightness, but I felt like it was a bit more natural in the beat, So I used the tape quite a lot to like soften things out or take some high end off if I feel like I want to blend it in better to the track, touch of EQing, a little bit of shaping of the transient to make the kick and snare cut through a little bit nicer. And just for reinforcement, I added a natural shaker loop from a sample pack as well. Just this classic sort of almost like an egg shaker kind of shaker, but very, very low in volume. The transient as well, taking quite a lot of the attack off, taking all the low end out, and now it sort of blends with my synth shaker and just gives a slight bit of extra interest, and can just mix the volumes a little bit better here. So we just got like two shakers going on at the same time, like one synthetic and one natural, right? But I felt like they both add something to the vibe of the beat, But there you have it. I'm so sorry. Another final thing I did actually was to get the stabs to cut through the pad a bit more, right? I actually sidechained the pad down a fair amount, from about 330 Hz up to about 2K. I sidechained them from the stabs. So you can see it does come down. Yeah, not like a super dramatic amount, but it just gives a little bit more space for the stabs. It is a subtle thing, but remember they're both actually fighting for the same mid-range area, so it's important to give one, at least think about which one is going to have a bit more priority, So I tried to give the stabs a bit more priority in the moment when you hear them. But without actually taking out so much of the pad that the pad completely sidechains itself away, so it's a fairly subtle movement here. Yeah, all about the subtle sidechains in the mid-range to give a little bit more priority or less priority to certain elements, so that you can get a bit more clarity between what's going on. But yeah, that's basically it, composition-wise and mixing-wise today. Not a crazy neurofunk-based tutorial like I normally do. Just wanted a little bit of a break and design some more filler sounds, some more kind of utility sounds, that kind of stuff. But yeah, those two sounds, like very, very easy to create. And like the stabs, I just made a simple chord with 3 oscillators, and just low pass them essentially, and added a bunch of reverb and delay and some bit of processing and some natural flavour. Same kind of thing with the shakers, just a white noise shaker, very simple 1/16, and then just lots of little randomization in the kind of effects, like giving it extra width or extra length sometimes to keep it more natural. yeah, layering that up with a realistic shaker as well, just for fun. And yeah, now we've got a nice little jungle vibe going on. I'm quite happy with it so far, but we're missing a big fat respace underneath everything, I think, aren't we? So I might have to do that on tomorrow's video. I'm not sure yet. Don't hold me to that. But if I can get a fat respace in there, I might have to do that. But yeah, that's my video for today. Just a little inspirational tutorial. Hope it helps you guys out, gives you some ideas. A little bit of knowledge with phase plant, and a little bit of knowledge on creating new elements, what kind of elements to create, what works with what, how to mix it in so it kind of blends itself into the track a bit smoother, and things kind of just gel together a bit better using tape and things like that. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, my G's. Hope you enjoyed that. May I remind you as well, if you guys ever want production lessons, I teach one-on-one classes, and you can find the links to my calendar down below in all of my videos. And I also have a great community on Discord. It's accessible via Patreon only, so it's a paid membership, but it's not too expensive. It's about €10 per month. But when you get in there, you get access to the community, and they will help you out on your tracks, give you feedback. You can join our feedback live streams, and much, much more. Finally, I've got a bunch of phase plant presets and vital presets, and also one current preset pack available on my website if you want to check those out. Links for those are down below as well. And yeah, last but not least, if you guys want any mixing and mastering work done on your tracks, just hit me up via email, info@artifactmusic.com, art with a 1. And yeah, we can sort things out from there. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button as well. More from me very soon. Ciao, ciao. Take care.